Audio Jungle.
John, thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure to have a conversation with you. You've got some great ideas as to where the market is currently, right now, in the property sector, in the finance sector, in the innovation sector, and I know you have some thoughts.
Well, probably got more questions than answers, Craig. You see things happening, and I think all of us were sort of guessing as to how they're going to pan out. And I mean, the one is obviously online retail. It's progressed visibly since lockdown gave it a bump up. But I think it seems like we're behind from what I read. We're behind the curve in terms of the US and Europe and so on.
Right.
Probably to be expected, but they've probably got more connectivity and internet.
Logistics.
Yeah, but anyway, I mean, it's definitely, you've seen it progress here, and you see a lot of these supermarket motorbikes running around with the grocery shopping. I think the one big shift, though, that hasn't necessarily happened yet is that sort of last mile delivery challenge being addressed. It still seems as though supermarkets, for instance, are delivering from the retail store itself. Yeah. For the time being, I guess that makes sense. Online retail is probably not the biggest focus for them. It's a relative sideshow. I'm guessing that the majority still come to shop at their supermarkets. But I guess that keeps evolving. And eventually,
but in the same spirit, I mean, the ShopRite Checkers 60 app is just phenomenal.
Sure,
I think that's a game changer.
Yeah. No, sure. They're certainly getting geared up very nicely for it, and they do a great service. But as the market becomes more online and less in shop shopping, I'm guessing that then it moves to more type of depot setup where DC. Actually the delivery starts to happen from the depot itself, and there's more of these dotted around and not from the retail shop itself.
Interesting observation that, because I mean, in Australia and different parts of America and in Europe, people shop for the day. They don't shop for the month. In South Africa, we still kind of shop for the month, and we still do weekly shopping. And so in Australia, they kind of shop per day. In parts of Europe, it's equally per day. They go after work to the stores and they buy what they need to buy. So we are still figuring out that convenience factor right now.
Well, I would have thought by now a lot of us would be for the day, or for a few days maybe. But with these convenience retail centers that have arrived all over the place. I can remember,
strip malls.
I've lived in Boskruin, Randburg for 21 years. And when I first arrived there, I mean, the convenience centers weren't what they are today. They weren't that sort of quality. So then there was a lot of more big shopping off to the hypermarkets up at Northgate and so on. But I haven't been there for years. The convenience supermarkets around my area now are so fantastic. So they all receive these upgrades. The parking's better. The retail store is better. Everything about them is just far better. So, now I think we do, a lot more of us pop in after work to quickly get the groceries for the evening and the next day.
Sure.
And that's how we shop. But now, of course, a lot of us don't drive home past the supermarket from work anymore, and the online orders are getting ever more convenient. You're seeing a lot more of these little motorbikes around delivering now. Why move out of your lounge where you're sitting comfortably working when you can just quickly put your order in online? So it's all coming. I don't know how, we probably haven't progressed with that as far as what Australia has, I'm guessing, but it's coming. And the next big thing is that more and more of it doesn't happen from the retail store. It happens from the depot in the area. The delivery just happens. That would make more sense to me. I mean, just from a flows point of view, eventually you can have you can design the whole building for the motorbikes to just drive through and collect, and you can make that whole. Once you've got scale there, I'm guessing you can make it a lot more efficient and speedy as well. And
I mean, that's innovation as it never was.
Sure.
I mean, that's really re-engineering the way in which we do business.
So I'm guessing that still has to come as well. So the reinvention in this property market is not only in the office world, and that sort of residential world, which needs more amenities perhaps, but it's also in the retail world a big reinvention there, and more of the retail being done from what would be classified as industrial properties.
Interesting. And logistic houses. And of course, where people live ultimately, and people are expanding their world as to where they live, and these strip malls obviously service these communities.
Sure.
But still, the online factor is at its infant stage in South Africa.
No, it is.
There's no question about it.
It is, and a lot of people. I mean, I find myself doing it. We just shop in a certain way or work in a certain way because it's habit, because that's the way we've just always been doing it. So if you look at the work from home surge, I mean, the Zoom and the Teams and all the technology was all there in place, ready to roll, long before COVID even was dreamt of. Okay, and people just weren't using it because we were used to climbing in our car and wasting an hour and petrol to drive across the city for one meeting and then drive all the way back to our office.
Sure.
It was totally inefficient in many cases. And it was just, you needed to be forced at some point.
Right.
Sort of like online banking. A lot of people just went to the branch because that's the way they always did it. And as new generations come in, they're used to doing stuff online, and so gradually banking changes. And this is the same with online retail. A lot of us just pop into the store on the way home from wherever we're going and shop because that's the way we've always done it.
Right.
And once you, for some reason, get pushed onto an app, or you realize that it's cheaper to do it that way, or it's more efficient, and so you get this jolt, and you get pushed onto it, and you suddenly realize, but hang on a moment, this is incredibly more effective. This courier just pitches up with my purchase from wherever, from Take-A-Lot, or and I don't think there's ever any looking back. It is just, that's the way.
And it's so quick
going
today. I mean, if you have a look at when this really kind of launched a few years back, it took a lot longer to get your product.
Sure.
Now you're getting your product in hours.
As scale, as the economies of scale come to these businesses, so they can lay out more last mile depots, whatever they're called, nearer to your home, and they can do it more effectively with scale. So, and I think that's the way retail shopping, like grocery shopping, will happen as well. It'll get even more it's pretty good now already, but it'll get even more efficient and speedy and a well-oiled machine the more people do it.
Where does the experiential retail come in, though? I mean, there are bricks and mortar buildings that say, well, listen, we want to go online. We do have to have that as a component to our website and part of our strategy. But we also don't want to lose the traffic. So there's also opportunity now with technology to make the whole retail experience, the live store retail experience, which is bricks and mortar, come alive. I think there's a missing opportunity as well. Different to what the convenience factor is, because there's still people that want to be in an immersive experience.
Well, and there's a lot of products, these sort of low frequency, expensive purchases where you want to try the thing out. You want to try it on, or you want to try it out, or you want to speak to someone with expertise who can explain to you what this model's advantages are to that model, So,
and of course, I mean, when you buy a television set, I mean, would you right now buy one online, or would you want to go into a retail store to just view the screen?
I want to go into a retail store that has great service in terms of being able to, staffed with people who have all the expertise about that product and can tell me properly.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
But is the consumer not more versed now than ever before? I mean, that's the problem or the challenge, that when you walk into a store, you often know more than who you're talking to, because if you've really studied and looked at them, you could know more than who you're talking to.
Well, you do in many cases, because the person you're talking to is not necessarily always well trained.
Yeah. So that's another challenge.
But I mean, the online challenge to retailers is to improve the quality of that in-person service,
and also to upskill the consumer,
and to upskill the staff that serve the consumer. I mean, So the in-store experience I see will get much better.
Yes, yes.
Because it has competition.
Sure.
If you're not getting that experience and that knowledge and that expertise and all the stuff that you want, the reason why you go to a store to view these various products, then you might as well buy it online.
Well, a lot of what I'm seeing is that, especially when it comes to television sets and high-tech equipment, you want to experience the look and feel, you want to see the quality, and then you may very well buy it online.
And you want to talk to someone who knows the product.
Yeah, so you want to have that engagement, but you may very well say, well, you know what? Unless they deliver, or unless the price is equal to online, now I've seen it, now I've understood, I'm just going to buy it online.
Sure.
So, I mean, I'm noticing that these retail stores are busy. And I'm noticing that the online market is massive, and it's just it always used to be a small percentage of the retail bricks and mortar, but that percentage is ever increasing.
No,
right
it is.
There's no doubt about it.
And no, it's challenging times for retailers. I think it'll make them stronger. It's the same with office space, where I'm saying exactly the same thing. Is you're going to have a smaller office market, but the office market you're going to have, I think, is going to be of a much higher standard and quality. It's going to really be, because it's going to
be compelling,
because it's competing with work from home. It's competing with your lounge.
Yeah, the precinct of your home, where you've got kitchen, you've got comfort, you've got all things happening at once.
Competitive pressure is a good thing. So I think you're going to see some impressive office buildings and office designs coming out. And exactly the same with retail. The retail you're going to see is going to be of a much higher level. It's going to improve even more. Look, our retail's been pretty good in this country for many years. It's been one of the better, sectors when you talk about quality.
Yeah.
But I think it improves even more. But also a smaller, retail property will be a smaller part of total property stock.
Right.
We can see that already in the building stats. I look at the share of square meterage that is planned and built for retail, for office, for industrial. And for many years now, we've seen the decline for, a few decades, we've seen the decline in office spaces share.
Right.
That's an old trend. More recently, probably 5 to 10 years, I'm not quite sure exactly, but, since after that consumer boom of pre-2008, somewhere the share of new retail space being built has also started to decline.
Yes,
and industrial spaces share has started to increase. Makes sense.
There's got to be a compelling reason for you to leave your home, whether it be recreation, whether it be business, whether it be acquisition. People are spending a lot of money on their properties right now, on their comforts more so. That's why the whole online market is booming for comfort. But for me to leave the comfort of my home, it's got to be compelling, right?
Yeah.
And that's again, it's got to be compelling, and that's where the challenge is right now.
And there's a lot of consumer products which make the home ever more comfortable.
That's the thing.
And ever more convenient to work in, to exercise in, to sleep in, to, the consumer goods for the home get ever better as well. And then, of course, the modern residential development is often putting in more amenities to make it a more pleasant experience too. So I think that, yes, so if you're looking at the share of property stock, the long-term trends, 20, 30 years, these trends is, an increase in the portion that is industrial property and an increase in the portion that is residential property. And a decrease in the portion that is office property, not dies, but a decrease in the portion, and that is retail property.
Right.
There's a shift in the composition of the property stock underway here.
Fascinating. John Loos, thank you very much for having this conversation and for sharing all your insights with us here today. Thank you.